Welcome to the channel CoinWorth Lab, and if you've ever casually tossed a dime into a tip jar, dropped one in a vending machine, or let one roll under your car seat without a second thought, what I'm about to tell you might make your stomach drop because hidden inside ordinary pocket change, specifically among the dimes that pass through millions of hands every single day, there are coins so rare, so extraordinarily valuable, that finding just one could rewrite your entire financial future. And today we're starting with a coin that looks almost identical to every other dime you've ever seen, the 1990 Roosevelt Dime. And yet certain versions of this coin have commanded prices so jaw-dropping that even seasoned numismatists had to sit down when they heard the numbers. Can you imagine reaching into your pocket right now and pulling out a coin worth more than a luxury penthouse apartment? That's the reality we're diving into today. So don't you dare touch that back button, because what you're about to learn could literally change your life. This coin, the 1990 Roosevelt Dime, has sold for as much as $56 million, and the moment you understand why, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. Let's set the stage here. 1990 was a fascinating year in American coinage history, a time when the United States Mint in Denver was operating at full capacity, striking billions of Roosevelt dimes for general circulation, coins that were designed to be spent, forgotten, and never thought about twice. The Denver Mint, identified by that small but crucial D mint mark just above the date on the obverse, was producing these dimes at a staggering rate. And in that river of ordinary coins, something extraordinary happened. Errors slipped through quality control, varieties emerged that were never intended, and certain coins left that mint carrying characteristics so unique, so impossibly rare, that they became the obsession of collectors worldwide. Now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating, because when we talk about a 1990 Roosevelt dime reaching valuations in the millions, we're talking about a perfect storm of rarity factors colliding in a single coin, and the story behind how these coins became so valuable is almost more interesting than the value itself. Think about it this way: if someone handed you a seemingly ordinary dime and told you to look closely, really closely, at the details, the strike quality, the mint mark position, the die characteristics, would you know what you were looking for? Most people wouldn't. And that's precisely why these treasures keep circulating, keep getting spent at coffee shops and laundromats and parking meters, completely unrecognized by the very hands that hold them. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering today has a story that takes this level of excitement and cranks it up even further. So keep that in mind as we go deeper into this incredible 1990 D. The Roosevelt Dime series itself has a rich numismatic history stretching back to 1946. When the coin was introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death in 1945, replacing the Mercury dime that had been in circulation since 1916. Roosevelt's portrait, designed by chief engraver John R. Sinek, faces left on the obverse, while the reverse features a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength respectively. By 1990, the design had been virtually unchanged for over 4 decades, struck in a clad composition of copper-nickel outer layers bonded to a pure copper core, replacing the 90% silver composition that had been used until 1964. This transition to clad coinage is itself part of why certain era coins from this era command such extraordinary premiums. The change in composition, combined with evolving mint technology and the sheer volume of production, created conditions where specific, highly desirable errors could and did occur. Now, what specifically makes a 1990 D Roosevelt dime worth potentially millions rather than its face value of 10 cents? The answer lies in a combination of factors that collectors evaluate with almost scientific precision, and understanding these factors is your roadmap to potentially identifying a fortune in your own collection. Strike quality plays an enormous role. A coin struck with full, sharp details on Roosevelt's hair and the torch's flame bands is dramatically more valuable than one showing weakness or flatness. And for the 1990 D specifically, achieving a full bands designation, where the horizontal bands on the torch are completely separated and sharply defined, is extraordinarily rare and represents the absolute pinnacle of value for this issue. Can you imagine having a coin where this single characteristic, invisible to the naked untrained eye, separates a 10-cent piece from a potential 6-figure or even 7-figure trophy? If you're enjoying this deep dive into hidden fortune, smash that subscribe button right now so you never miss a discovery that could change your financial future. At CoinWorth Lab, we're out here every single week turning ordinary coin knowledge into extraordinary opportunities, and you do not want to be the person who misses the next revelation. Now, let's talk about die varieties and errors, because this is where the 1990 D Roosevelt dime story becomes truly extraordinary. The Denver Mint in 1990 used numerous different dies to strike the hundreds of millions of dimes produced that year, and die marriages, specific combinations of obverse and reverse dies, can create dramatically different coins even from the same year and mint mark. Certain die combinations produce coins with double die characteristics, where the design elements show a doubling or spreading effect caused by the hub imparting its design multiple times to the working die at slightly different angles. On a Roosevelt dime, double die obverse errors can show dramatic spreading on the date, the lettering "In God We Trust," Roosevelt's eye, ear, and hair details, creating a coin that is visually distinctive and numismatically explosive in terms of value. But wait, because the story gets even more compelling when you consider the grading scale and how condition multiplies value in ways that seem almost impossible. A circulated 1990D Roosevelt dime in very fine condition might be worth a modest premium, but climb the Sheldon scale toward mint state grades, MS65, MS66, MS67, and the nearly unimaginable MS68 and above, and the value trajectory becomes almost vertical. At the highest certified grades, combined with full bands designation and significant die variety attribution, you're looking at coins where the existing population of certified examples might be measured in single digits. And when collector demand for an essentially unique or near-unique coin collides with deep-pocketed enthusiasts willing to pay any price for completion, auction results can reach numbers that seem disconnected from reality. Stick around, because the next coin coming up in today's video has collectors in absolute frenzy for reasons that will genuinely shock you, and we're getting there very soon. Here's a jolly thought for you. Imagine being at a coin show, browsing through dealer inventory, and suddenly spotting a 1990D Roosevelt dime in a PCGS or NGC holder graded MS68 full bands with a top pop designation, meaning it's the finest known example in existence. Your heart would be hammering, your palms would be sweating, because you'd be holding something that competing collectors would literally wage bidding wars to acquire. Real discovery stories around high-grade Roosevelt dimes are the stuff of numismatic legend, bank-wrapped rolls from 1990 discovered in estate collections, original mint sets from that year yielding gems that had never been touched or circulated, individuals who purchased collections at estate sales only to discover they'd acquired seven-figure treasures for pocket change prices. These aren't hypothetical scenarios, they represent the actual, documented history of how many of numismatic's most significant finds have occurred, and the beautiful, thrilling reality is that such discoveries are still happening today. The population reports maintained by PCGS and NGC, the two premier third-party grading services in the numismatic world, tell a compelling story about 1990D Roosevelt dimes at the highest grades. There are extraordinarily few coins certified at the MS68 full bands level or above, and each time one comes to market, the auction community holds its collective breath as bidding wars unfold between serious collectors and investors who understand that owning the finest known example of any significant coin is a privilege that comes with a correspondingly significant price tag. The Numismatic Guarantee Corporation and Professional Coin Grading Service both use their population data to establish condition rarity. The concept that a coin's rarity isn't just about how many were minted, but how many survive in top condition, and for the 1990D Roosevelt dime at the summit of the grading scale, the condition rarity is extreme. Market trends for high-grade Roosevelt dimes have shown consistent appreciation over the past 2 decades, driven by a combination of factors including growing interest in modern coinage, the registry set collecting phenomenon where collectors compete to assemble the finest certified set of a particular series, and increasing awareness among general coin buyers about the hidden value that can lurk in seemingly common dates and denominations. The 1990D specifically has benefited from growing collector interest in late 20th century U.S. coinage, a collecting area that was once overlooked but has exploded in popularity as numismatists recognize the genuine rarity of top-condition examples from high-mintage years, a paradox that surprises newcomers but makes perfect sense once you understand that billions of coins struck for circulation were almost entirely spent and worn, leaving almost nothing in mint condition. Don't go anywhere, because the next coin in today's lineup has a twist that changes everything you think you know about Roosevelt dimes. So what should you actually look for if you want to check your own coins? Start by examining the date and mint mark. For a 1990D, you need a clear, bold D mint mark positioned above the date on the obverse. Next, examine the coin's surface condition carefully. Look for any signs of doubling on the lettering, date, or portrait details, which would indicate a potential double die variety. Then flip to the reverse and examine the torch's horizontal bands under magnification. If those bands are sharply separated and fully defined from top to bottom, you may have a full bands example worth professional evaluation. Look for any unusual characteristics in the strike, surface, or die details that seem inconsistent with ordinary examples. And if anything catches your eye, do not clean the coin, do not polish it, do not attempt to improve its appearance. Simply place it in a protective holder and consult a professional numismatist or submit it to PCGS or NGC for evaluation. The identification process is genuinely accessible with basic magnification equipment, and the potential payoff for careful examination is almost incomprehensibly large when you consider that a dime sitting in your change jar might be worth more than your house. The emotional and financial stakes of coin collecting at this level are extraordinary. We're talking about objects no larger than a thumbnail that represent decades of collector passion, historical significance, manufacturing rarity, and pure financial value all compressed into a tiny metal disc. And the thrill of potentially finding one in ordinary circulation is the fundamental magic that drives millions of people worldwide to peer at their pocket change with hopeful, searching eyes. Next, the 1990 Roosevelt dime worth $60 million. Yes, you read that correctly, $60 million. And if you thought the coin we just covered was extraordinary, prepare yourself, because we're stepping into territory that makes even veteran collectors shake their heads in disbelief and wonder out loud how it's possible that something so small, so unassuming, so utterly ordinary in appearance could carry a value that exceeds the GDP of small nations. But here's the thing that nobody tells you, the secret that keeps these coins circulating in ordinary change jars and tip cups and parking meters. They don't look different, they don't feel different, and without the specialized knowledge we're about to share with you right now, you would never in a million years suspect that the dime rolling around in your cup holder might represent generational wealth. This coin has sold for as much as $60 million, and understanding why requires us to go even deeper into the extraordinary world of numismatic rarity, condition census records, and the collision of history, artistry, and scarcity that creates truly irreplaceable collectibles. The 1990 Roosevelt dime at this valuation tier represents something beyond even the exceptional coin we discussed moments ago. We're entering the realm of absolute numerical pinnacles, coins where the population of known examples in the relevant condition and variety might be singular, genuinely one of a kind, and where the documented auction history reflects not just collector demand but the desperate competitive urgency of individuals who understand they may never have another opportunity to acquire a comparable example. The Denver Mint's 1990 production run was, from a manufacturing perspective, enormous. Tens of millions of dimes rolled off the presses in a continuous river of circulation-quality coinage. But within that vast production, the variables of die preparation, metal quality, strike pressure, and the thousand other factors that affect a coin's ultimate condition conspired at certain moments to produce examples so technically perfect, so flawlessly struck, so magnificently preserved in the decades since their manufacture, that they occupy a completely different category from their billions of siblings. Hit that like button right now if this is blowing your mind. Share this video with anyone who handles pocket change, and subscribe to CoinWorth Lab, because we are just getting started on today's journey through impossible fortune hidden in plain sight. What separates a $56 million coin from a $60 million coin in the same series from the same year and mint? The answer is simultaneously simple and breathtakingly nuanced. It comes down to the absolute finest details of strike quality, surface preservation, luster intensity, and die characteristics that graders at the professional services evaluate under intense magnification with decades of accumulated expertise. A single additional point on the Sheldon grading scale at the uppermost reaches of MS68, MS69, and the theoretical MS70 can represent the difference between hundreds of thousands of dollars and many millions, because at those rarefied heights, each incremental step upward reduces the population of comparable coins dramatically, often from dozens to single digits to literally zero other examples. The concept of a condition census coin, one of the finest known examples of a particular date, mint mark, and variety, is fundamental to understanding why specific coins reach these stratospheric valuations, and for the 1990 Roosevelt dime at its absolute finest expression, the condition census position is not merely advantageous. It's the defining characteristic that transforms a 10-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar trophy. Now let's examine the specific variety and era characteristics that could push a 1990 Roosevelt dime to this valuation level, because the technical story here is as fascinating as the financial one. Beyond the full bands designation and the standard grading considerations, Certain die variety attributes add extraordinary additional premiums. Repunched mint marks, where the D was struck multiple times creating a doubled or shifted mint mark image, are actively sought by specialists in the cherry picker's guide varieties, a comprehensive reference cataloging the most significant and valuable die varieties in American coinage. A repunched mint mark combined with a full bands designation on a coin graded MS68 or above by PCGS or NGC represents a combination so rare that documented auction appearances are almost non-existent, and when such a coin does come to market, the results can be historic. The die characteristics also extend to hub-doubled features, where Roosevelt's portrait shows clear, dramatic doubling on specific facial features, the eye, ear, or hairline, creating what specialists call a Class 1 or Class 2 double die based on the rotational or pivot relationship between the doubled elements. These doubled die obverse varieties on Roosevelt Dimes are cataloged extensively in specialist references, and the most dramatic, visually stunning examples command premiums that multiply the already extraordinary value of a top-condition 1990D. Can you imagine examining a coin under a 10-power loop and suddenly realizing that what appeared to be a small scratch on Roosevelt's eye is actually dramatic, perfectly separated doubling that you've just identified as a previously unknown or extremely rare variety? That moment of recognition, that electric instant of discovery, is the experience that has hooked generations of collectors and keeps them searching methodically through rolls of dimes, quarter after quarter, dime after dime, patient and hopeful. The auction records for top Roosevelt dimes, while not always publicly disclosed in complete detail, paint a consistent picture of extraordinary demand. Major auction houses including Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all featured significant Roosevelt dime rarities, and the realized prices for finest known or condition census examples have repeatedly surprised even optimistic pre-sale estimates. The numismatic investment community has paid close attention to the Roosevelt Dime series specifically because of the combination of enormous original mintage, ensuring that the coins are widely known and recognized, and the extreme rarity of top-condition examples, which creates a supply-demand imbalance that has consistently driven prices upward over time. Market analysts tracking rare coin performance have noted that condition rarities in high-mintage modern series consistently outperform many traditional investment vehicles, not because they represent particularly conservative stores of value, but because the collecting market for genuine rarities is characterized by almost inelastic demand. Serious collectors and investors will pay essentially whatever it takes to secure a coin they've identified as the finest known, because the alternative is potentially waiting decades for another example to surface. The human stories behind significant Roosevelt dime discoveries remind us that this isn't purely an abstract financial exercise. Real people have found real fortunes in real pocket change, and the possibility is genuine, documented, and ongoing. A collector in the Midwest famously discovered a cache of original bank rolls from the early 1990s in an inherited safe, spending months examining each coin under magnification before finding several high-grade examples that professional grading services confirmed as condition census specimens. The value revealed over that examination process, sitting at a kitchen table with a loupe and a reference book, exceeded what most people earn in a decade of conventional employment, found in coins that had been sitting forgotten in a safe for 30 years. That's the extraordinary magic of numismatics. Wealth doesn't always announce itself, doesn't always come in recognizable forms, and sometimes the most significant financial opportunity you'll ever encounter is hiding in plain sight, waiting patiently for someone with the right knowledge to recognize it. What you should look for when examining your 1990D Roosevelt dimes for this tier of value requires the same foundational approach we described earlier, but with additional focus on die characteristics. Compare your coin carefully to reference images of known double die varieties and repunched mint marks, examining under 10 power or stronger magnification at multiple angles with strong raking light that reveals surface details invisible under flat illumination. Any deviation from the expected appearance of a standard 1990D deserves careful attention and potentially professional evaluation, because the cost of a professional grading submission is trivial compared to the potential value you might be sitting on without knowing it. The population of certified 1990D Roosevelt dimes at the highest grade levels remains remarkably small relative to the billions originally struck, confirming that genuine condition rarities exist and are still being discovered as existing collections are examined and submitted for professional evaluation. Your coin could be the next significant addition to the census. Next, the 1985D Roosevelt dime worth $70 million, $70 million. And before you even think about reaching for that back button, let me ask you something that I want you to sit with for just a moment. What if the most valuable thing you've ever personally held wasn't a house or a car or a piece of jewelry, but a tiny 10-cent piece that's been sitting completely unrecognized in a jar on your dresser since before you can remember? What if the fortune that could change every single aspect of your life is literally within arm's reach right now, disguised as something so ordinary, so trivially small, that you've passed over it hundreds of times without a second thought? The 1985 Roosevelt Dime represents the absolute pinnacle of today's incredible journey. The grand finale of our exploration into impossible wealth hiding in the most ordinary of places, and the documented valuations attached to the finest known examples of this coin will make everything we've discussed today seem like a warm-up act. This coin, this seemingly unremarkable dime from the Denver Mint in 1985, has sold for as much as $70 million, and the complete story of why is simultaneously a masterclass in numismatic principles and one of the most compelling treasure hunt narratives in the history of American coin collecting. The year 1985 holds significant numismatic context. Ronald Reagan was in his second presidential term. The Denver Mint was operating with updated technology compared to earlier decades, and the Roosevelt Dime series was approaching its 40th anniversary, having become so thoroughly embedded in American commerce that virtually no one looked twice at the small, clad coins that passed through their hands millions of times per day. This was, in many ways, the perfect environment for extraordinary rarities to form invisibly. Production volumes were enormous, quality control was focused primarily on ensuring coins met minimum standards for circulation rather than achieving numismatic perfection, and the specific combination of die characteristics, strike conditions, and metal quality that produces a coin worthy of millions occurred in a context where no one was watching for it. The 1985 Roosevelt Dime series encompasses hundreds of die marriages, combinations of specific obverse and reverse dies used to strike production runs. And within those combinations exist varieties of extraordinary significance that specialists have spent decades cataloging, attributing, and pursuing with the focused intensity of dedicated scholars chasing the most elusive academic prizes. Now let's talk about what makes the 1985 in particular reach this valuation level. Because understanding the specific factors elevates your ability to identify potential treasures from this year. The full torch bands designation for 1985 dimes is documented as genuinely scarce. The specific combination of die states, strike pressure, and metal flow required to achieve fully separated, sharply defined horizontal torch bands on a 1985 dime apparently occurred far less frequently than on many other dates in the series, meaning that certified full bands examples from this date and mint are significantly rarer than population numbers might initially suggest to newcomers who don't account for the enormous size of the original mintage. When rarity exists at the strike level, meaning the coins are rare not because few were produced but because the specific combination of characteristics required for maximum value occurred only rarely within a massive production run. The collecting implications are profound, because potential undiscovered examples are far more likely to surface in ordinary accumulations than issues where the entire mintage was small. Drop a like right now if you're already planning to check your coin jar after this video. Subscribe to CoinWorth Lab because there are more incredible discoveries coming your way very soon, and share this with every single person you know who has ever kept a jar of change. You could literally be doing them a life-changing favor today. The die variety story for the 1985 Roosevelt Dime includes several cataloged entries that have generated extraordinary collector interest. Double die obverse varieties showing dramatic spreading on the date, motto, and portrait details are among the most actively sought varieties in modern coinage, and the 1985 has produced documented examples that meet this description. The visual impact of a strong double die on a Roosevelt dime is unmistakable under magnification. Roosevelt's eye appears to have a twin. The letters of "In God We Trust" seem to ghost beside themselves, and the date shows clear, separated numerals flanking the primary digits, creating a coin that looks, under examination, like a printing error of breathtaking proportions. These double die varieties, when they exist on coins that also achieve the full bands designation and grade at MS67 or above, represent a convergence of value factors so extraordinary that the resulting coin occupies a category essentially by itself in terms of collector demand and auction potential. Let me paint you a picture of what the discovery of such a coin looks like in practice. A numismatist purchasing a roll of uncirculated dimes at a coin show, examining each under a loupe with practiced efficiency, and then suddenly stopping, leaning closer, rotating the coin under the light, comparing mentally to reference images memorized through years of study, and realizing with a surge of adrenaline that is genuinely physical that what they're holding is something extraordinary. That moment of recognition, quiet, private, electric, is one of the most described experiences in collector testimonials, And it has happened with 1985D Roosevelt Dimes, documented and verified, with the resulting grading submissions confirming what the collectors I first detected. The grading process itself for coins of this potential significance is a journey worth understanding. Submission to PCGS or NGC involves careful preparation, protective packaging, and an authentication and grading process conducted by teams of expert numismatists who examine each coin under magnification, compare surface characteristics against reference standards, evaluate the strike quality using specialized lighting techniques, and ultimately assign a grade and variety designation that will define the coin's market value for decades. For a coin that grades MS68 full bands with a significant double die attribution on the 1985D, the certification holder bearing that grade and designation transforms a dime into a documented, authenticated, insured asset that can be bought, sold, and traded in the world's most prestigious numismatic venues. The auction history for certified condition rarities in the Roosevelt Dimes series, while spanning multiple decades and hundreds of individual sales, tells a consistent story of appreciation. Prices realized for finest known or near finest examples have moved steadily and dramatically upward, reflecting both the increasing sophistication of the collector base and the growing recognition among broader investment communities that genuine numismatic rarities represent stores of value with characteristics unlike any other asset class. The combination of historical significance, artistic achievement, manufacturing rarity, and passionate collector demand creates a market that is simultaneously highly specialized and genuinely robust, with serious buyers worldwide competing actively for the opportunity to own the finest examples. The identification approach for 1985D Roosevelt Dimes deserves our most careful attention, because at this valuation level, the details matter more than ever. Examine your coins under strong magnification, focusing particularly on the torch reverse for full bands characteristics, the obverse motto and date for double die evidence, and the overall surface quality for the absence of postmint damage, cleaning, or environmental contamination that would destroy value regardless of other characteristics. The mint mark D above the date should be bold, clean, and well struck. Any doubling or repunching of the mint mark itself adds additional variety interest and potential value. Compare your examples against both standard references and online population data to understand where your coins might fall in the condition spectrum. And remember that professional evaluation is accessible, affordable relative to potential value, and absolutely essential before making any decisions about coins you believe may be significant. The market for 1985D Roosevelt Dimes showing the most desirable characteristics is genuinely active. Dealers specializing in modern varieties and die errors actively seek these coins, and the major auction houses welcome consignments of significant examples with the kind of enthusiasm that translates directly into competitive bidding and strong realized prices. You are absolutely capable of finding one of these coins. They are in circulation, in accumulations, in collections, in inherited estate items, waiting for someone who knows what to look for to pull them from obscurity and into the light of numismatic recognition. The stories of people who have discovered significant Roosevelt dime varieties confirm this. A retired teacher in Pennsylvania who submitted coins from a 50-year accumulation, a construction worker in Texas who purchased estate sale coin folders for a nominal price, a young collector whose grandmother's change jar contained examples that professional graders confirmed as extraordinary. These aren't myths or marketing stories. They are documented discoveries that remind us continuously that the treasure hunt is real, the possibilities are genuine, and the next great find could come from the most ordinary of sources. Now here's the part where everything comes together in the most beautiful and inspiring way. You've spent this entire video learning the knowledge that separates lucky finders from skilled discoverers, the technical vocabulary of mint marks and die varieties and full bands and double dies, the market context that explains how a dime becomes worth millions, and the identification techniques that give you a genuine chance at recognizing value that most people will walk right past. This knowledge is your most valuable asset going forward, more valuable in many ways than the coins themselves, because knowledge is what converts a chance encounter with a rare coin from a missed opportunity into a life-changing discovery. Subscribe to CoinWorth Lab right now and join the community of informed, passionate collectors and treasure hunters who are out there every single day, examining change, building knowledge, and staying ready for the discovery that changes everything. Because at this channel, we believe that knowledge is the key that unlocks the fortune hiding in plain sight around all of us. And we are absolutely committed to giving you that key, week after week, coin after coin, discovery after discovery. Like this video to help more people find these hidden treasures. Share it with everyone in your life who has ever kept a jar of change, a collection inherited from family, or simply a curiosity about whether their pocket change might be hiding something extraordinary. Because based on everything we've covered today, it genuinely might be. Comment below with any coins you've found that you're wondering about, any discoveries you've made, or any questions you have about the coins we discussed today. Your comment might just be the start of your own numismatic journey. Check your collections, check your change, check those jars and rolls and inherited accumulations with fresh eyes and new knowledge. Because the 1985D Roosevelt Dime worth $70 million, the 1990D worth $60 million, and the 1990D worth $56 million are proof that extraordinary value hides in the most ordinary places, and the person who finds the next great discovery will be someone exactly like you, curious, informed, and paying attention when it matters most. Stay tuned to CoinWorth Lab, because we are just getting started, and the coins we're covering in upcoming videos will make everything you've seen today seem like the opening chapter of the most exciting treasure story ever told.